Are there any changes to the agenda?
Apparently not, but I'll make a motion to adopt the agenda.
Okay.
I'll second the motion.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. The agenda is adopted. Do we have any public comments this morning? Okay, last chance. Anybody want to sign up for public comments? Okay. Okay, our item 4, information items. We've requested an update from Keith Meir and Marcy on collective bargaining negotiations. And are we able to connect with Mr. Meir? Okay. Okay. Let's wait for just a few minutes until he has an opportunity to call in so he can hear all the proceedings. Okay. Thank you. Until then, anybody have any good jokes?
Yeah, it's springtime.
Yeah, that's pretty funny, Vince.
Crazy. It's crazy.
Okay. Would you like to rise and...
There's a linguistics professor, and he's giving his lecture, and he says to his students, well, in some languages, in English, for example, the double negative is a positive, right? But in other languages, the double negative is an emphatic negative, as in Spanish or Russian. But as far as we know, there is no language in which a double positive becomes an emphatic negative. And one of the students in the back row says, yeah, right.
Thank you for that.
Thank you, yes, that's good.
Thank you. And I was worried for a moment that I wasn't going to get it. So, thank you.
You know, me too.
So have we heard from Mr. Meir yet?
Not yet.
Okay, then other comments, jokes?
That's the one joke.
Anybody have any weekend plans that involved being outside? Doing something in the sun? A nice spring wedding, for example? That's,
Just a granddaughter's soccer game.
they can play soccer.
Oh, yeah,
Right,
yeah.
yeah, that's all right. Okay. So since Mr. Meir is going to be calling in, we will ask him to give his report first, and hopefully he'll be able to remain connected from wherever he is so he can hear everybody else. Is that agreeable, colleagues?
Yep.
Okay. And by the way, welcome everybody. Glad you're all here. Is this what everyone does for fun on a Friday morning? Us too,
Madam Chair,
please.
since we're having a little downtime, you could move on to approval of the minutes, because they're sort of extensive.
Can we, okay. That is a wonderful idea. Thank you. So the minutes are rather extensive. I'm hopeful that we've all had an opportunity to read them. Okay. Are there any additions, corrections, changes?
I don't have any, no. I did not note any.
As extensive as they are, as always, we're grateful for the detail and the accuracy. May I hear a motion to approve our minutes?
I'll move to approve the amendments.
Thank you. Second.
I'll second.
And all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. Our minutes are approved. And any other ideas to kill time, John?
That's the limit of what we got on our agenda.
All right,
We
that's-
Can't go anywhere else. I don't have any good jokes. I had a sad comment on,
We'll pick up on that.
later.
Good morning, Mr. Meir. Can you hear us?
I can, yes.
And we can hear you. Can everybody hear? Fairly well? Okay. Okay, so. I'm not getting that. Are you understanding?
Wheels on the truck.
Hello?
Okay, so we're trying to interpret the sounds that we're hearing. So let's begin if we can with an update from your perspective on collective bargaining negotiations. Can you share with us what's been going on since we last met?
Keith, if you could go ahead and give an update from your perspective.
Sure, I can do that real quickly. I'm sorry, I apologize if you can't hear me well. I'm having some trouble hearing on the other end, but I can give you that update real quickly. From our perspective, we've had, since the last update, several meetings. We've come to agreement on several articles, at least tentative agreements on several articles. We have exchanged package proposal each time. From management's perspective, the union has come back and provided counters to multiple sections in our package proposal. We have yet to receive a full proposal. We talked about that last time, but my understanding is the union's working towards getting us responsive proposals that may affect others. They currently have some proposals to us now. We plan to counter at our next meeting. We currently have 4 meetings scheduled through the beginning of May, and so from our perspective, we're making some good progress, and we will continue to meet and provide updates as they come.
Thank you. Any questions for Mr. Meir?
If there are questions, I can answer those.
Okay, can you stand by and let's hear from the union? And then we may have some additional questions for you or for the union. Okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. May we hear from the union, please?
Good morning.
Good morning.
We are here this morning to express appreciation for the opportunity for the support. I would like to thank you for the direction and the counseling at the last meeting. We feel like both parties have embraced it, and we've taken to heart the idea of an agenda. And it seems that one of the important things that has evolved is that there is more dialogue and discussion at the table, which we think is really important because it uncovers our values and our mutual perspectives of things, and also our not so mutual perspectives of things, but that's really important to the process, we think. And so ultimately, our hope remains that our discussion will allow us to come to a mutual understanding of our perspectives, and that the language in the contract will ultimately reflect both perspectives, and that we will be able to move forward, and that will ultimately impact the learning environment at the college in a positive way. So from here, I think I'm going to hand it over to Jerry Trujillo. He's our lead negotiator, and I will just stand by and support if need be.
Thank you. Good morning, Mr. Trujillo.
Donna, will you ask Keith to mute his phone?
Keith, can you please mute your phone?
Yes, I can do that.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Sorry.
Okay.
Hi. Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the board. My name is Jerry Trujillo. I'm the lead negotiator for the AAUP here at Santa Fe Community College. And I apologize for missing last meeting, but I did get a chance to view the meeting in whole on YouTube via the internet. So we have, based on the meeting and what was discussed and some of the direction that you provided, I think has been very helpful. And we agree too, the ultimate goal is to come up with a product through process. And as recommended by your recommendations, we have set a bargaining agenda proposed for each meeting, which seems to be working very well. And it's the mood of the meeting at the table. We're having discussion at the table, we're having exchange at the table. The mood seems to have changed quite a bit, where we're able to discuss issues for mutual benefit, even though we may not agree all the time on certain issues. So we are meeting more regularly. We have proposed several meeting dates, and it seems like majority of the meeting dates have been amicable for both parties. So we've met 3 times since your last meeting. We met on Thursday, March 15th. We met on Saturday, March 17th, and we met on Sunday, April 8th. So, in that short period of time, we've already met 3 times. So we're hopeful that this will continue, and it looks like it's going to continue as well. We have several other meetings scheduled till May 10th. So it looks like we have 3 or 4 meetings. I don't recall the exact number, but we're still ironing that out, but they will be at least 3 meetings. So what we've seen is the exchange at the table has been good. Administration is returning from caucus and providing counter proposals. What we are doing also is considering the needs of both parties as well. Sometimes we will end the session with a package of proposals that we present. They will return with the counter proposal electronically, preparing for the next meeting. So that seems to be working out as well. So we're hopeful that will continue. It looks like it's going to continue. And we've also TA'd we've signed off tentative agreements on 3 articles. Yes, they're boilerplate articles. One article is about communication, which is very important. And but we're making some progress. We expect this to also be a lengthy process. It's still going to be a challenging process. We have a knowledge of. So what we've done is we've identified articles that may have potential to affect other articles in their complete CBA packet. We've already voluntarily tabled 2 articles that have said this could affect another article. So let's revisit that, and let's visit that in a group at a later time. So we can group our package, like, say, for instance, a grievance group. So we may have several articles that may affect grievance. So we've said, well, let's hold off and let's present those in a grievance package, or also a workload package, for instance. So we've taken that into consideration as well when presenting and negotiating at the table. So, with that said, we have a master list. It's a CBA article list. It lists the articles that, in color code, that we're working on or have been working on in negotiations. There may be articles added to this list. I have copies for all of you if you would like to see it, and I can also provide a copy for the admin. And there's not anything revealing except the action of the article, where it's at, if it's been TA'd, if it's in negotiation, if they're ready for the table and so forth. So I don't know your exact protocol, but if you would like to see these, I have them available for you.
Please.
Yes.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, I'm concerned about providing the board something that the association has not provided to the administration as yet, and whether they might have an objection to the board members receiving that at this time. So I'd at least like to get Mr. Mears' response on what it is you're being provided and what his position on it might be.
Until then, we won't look at it. Thank you.
Okay.
Mr. Meir?
He's muted right now.
Yes.
It's breaking in and out, but so I'm not sure if there's a question. I couldn't hear that last part.
Mr. Kennedy, counsel for the board, asked, the union provided the board with a schedule of the articles, and since you haven't been provided with that same list, he's asking for your opinion on that.
No, we like I said, one of the reasons that we've kept our updates fairly without a lot of detail is the idea that these are closed sessions. We don't believe that we should be sharing the information related to what's actually happened at the table with the board. List of articles that have been agreed to or not. From our perspective, because the resolution requires these to be closed because amongst the parties, our updates have been very general, and from our point of view, providing detailed information with respect to what's happening at the table is actually not only not required by the resolution, but it's actually something we should not be doing in terms of outside of the bargaining table. We haven't been provided any list that states what has been tentatively agreed to or what's on the table. But again, we have that list because we've been at the table, so we're aware of what proposals have been made by the union and vice versa from us.
Thank you. Mr. Meir, we have returned the list to the union without as much as a glance.
And might I interject, at a subsequent meeting when the parties can agree on submission to the board about what the status is and what progress has been made, just having him not have seen it yet was a problem for me.
I understand.
Okay.
Yeah, the intention was to meet with Keith prior to the board meeting and kind of show him the master list basically that we were going to show you.
We'd encourage that.
And thank you, Mr. Kennedy, for your guidance and counsel. Thank you. I have a couple questions, and colleagues, do you have any questions for? Okay. So typically is my understanding correct that you are continuing to work from the resolution rather than having a specific set of ground rules that you've negotiated? Is that correct?
That's correct at this point.
Okay. So typically in ground rules, there's a one rule regarding submission of articles for negotiation, and frequently there's a cutoff so that both parties are aware this is the complete packet. Additional articles will not be submitted after this date. Is that something that you've discussed, or what is the process that you've discussed or perhaps agreed to, whether formally or informally, regarding submission of articles?
That is something that remains open at this point. There hasn't been any set protocol.
Okay. Mr. Muir, do you have any thoughts on that point?
Keith? Can you hear us?
I can barely hear. I did not hear that last question. I apologize.
The last question had to do with an agreement on the submission of articles and a deadline.
Okay.
And Mr. Trujillo stated that there is no deadline for submission of articles.
There's no deadline on providing counters. Is that what we're addressing?
No, I'm actually thinking more about a complete packet. Frequently in ground rules, there's language that states that the complete packet will be submitted no later than, so that each party knows that this is it. This is everything that you're negotiating. No surprises, because obviously negotiations on one article frequently does impact a number of other articles.
Once again, I'm having some trouble. Every third or fourth word is breaking up. If I could get a summary from that question, I can answer it. I apologize.
She was talking about a deadline for the complete submission of the package.
Okay. And have we requested a deadline? Or are we talking about setting that deadline? If we're talking about setting a deadline, I think it would make sense to do that. There's still some of the more involved discussion that relates to some of the economic impact articles. And so I think if we set a deadline for that over the next couple of sessions, we can work that between Mr. Trujillo and myself. And I think that we're agreeable to doing that so that we can move forward and hopefully reach an agreement sooner rather than later.
So my purpose is simply an inquiry, whether you think that might be a good idea or not. That might be something that you might want to discuss.
Okay, I think it would. I think normally, we talked about at the last meeting, Madam Chairperson, is that we had, not able to come to agreement on ground rules. That's something that would normally be included in those. With that respect, I think there would be, it would be advisable to have that deadline in place. But again, I think that's something that the parties can work through, so that the union has the opportunity to take the time to work on those. I do agree that it's a good idea, and I think that we can come to some agreement on that and report back to the board at the next meeting.
Thank you. Any other comments, questions?
No, I mean, well, I do have a comment. From my own perspective, from the reports of both parties, it sounds like we're on track. And things are progressing, albeit perhaps slowly. But this is the first contract, and that's not all that uncommon. And so I appreciate the update and the commitment to continuing the process. And sooner or later, and one of these days, we'll have an agreement, I suspect. So
I'll just add that it does seem like we ought to continue these updates. So for the next meeting, we'll ask that you folks come back. We'll have Keith on a better line because he'll be in person, hopefully. And I think that's helpful too, to just work towards the next meeting. And it sounds like you have a number of meetings already set up, and hopefully you get those done and come back with some more progress.
Is there anything that either of the parties feel might be helpful from us? Question mark.
I think this process is, and I do appreciate the board, coming forward and asking these questions and asking about inquiry and helping navigate this process since this is our first CBA. So, that's important, and I think, we do take your suggestions to heart and we implement them. And so far, it seems like there's definitely been a noticeable shift in approach and bargaining at the table.
Thank you all. Mr. Muir, thank you.
If I may, Madam Chairperson, I think that from the management's perspective, I think we appreciate the board's continuing involvement in overseeing that the parties are meeting at the table. I think that we have done that. We've taken suggestions. Again, I think the parties are in a position where, as Mr. Trujillo mentioned, we're at the table discussing these important issues and having the opportunity for dialogue. I think we're moving forward, and I think the parties are able to work out some of these things in a way that benefits both sides. So thank you. And I apologize for the bad connection.
We apologize for your efforts at being here without necessarily being present. So we do appreciate that you put yourself out in order to do that. Thank you for that. And thank you all.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. We have approved our minutes, and I see no other action items on the agenda or information items. So may I have a motion to adjourn?
I'll move to adjourn the meeting.
I'll second.
And all in favor?
Aye.
Yes. All right. Our meeting is adjourned. Thank you very much. Oh, that was.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to meet you. I've seen you around. Kind of place you,
Yeah, that could be, I don't know.
Santa Fe.
Only a guess. Oh, is that?
Are you from Santa Fe?
Yeah, I live there.
Okay, that's
Yeah.
probably.
Okay, could be.